All right, welcome back to Questing Beast. I'm Ben, and today we're looking at Marvels and Malisons, which is a short supplement for the Wonder and Wickedness magic system put out by Lost Pages. Wonder and Wickedness, I think I have a copy right over here, is a fantastic little magic book that takes all of the traditional D&D spells and makes them all levelless and adds a lot of flavor and ritual surrounding them that I think adds a lot more to the magic feeling of the spells. So they feel less like just generic tools that you use and more like, well, you feel more like a wizard when you use them. Let's put it that way. I love it, and I did a great review of it, a very positive review of it rather, and you can check it out right up here if you want to see what's inside this and learn a bit more. But this here is a supplement for it, so it adds a few new spell casting schools and some new spells for those. Let's take a quick look inside. It's a short little book. It's staple bound or saddle stitched is I think the term. And the format, the way it's designed is very similar to Wonder and Wickedness, so it's easy to just add on. Some rules for using mana points or spell points to cast if you prefer not to use the spell slots from traditional Vancian magic. A couple more points of, alternate ways that you could use magic in your game. We have our new comprehensive spell list, and this includes the new classes here, or the new schools. Arachnomorphosis, obviously having to do with spiders. We have the Cunning Craft, which is kind of like old school witchcraft. We have, let's see if I say this right, Apotropeism, hopefully that's correct, that has to do with warding and preventing evil from influencing you. Physiurgy, which is a healing school, and rope tricks, which is so weird and niche and delightful that I think I'm going to be using these in my own game. This page is really great. We have some sorcerer starting equipment, so a random d6 to roll depending on which schools you are proficient in, and you get some really cool, flavorful items that flesh out your character. For example, elementalism. You get a dowsing rod, right, having to do with water if you're an elementalist, or diabolism, a strong incense and thurible, great to cover any smell. Reduce visibility, pretend you are one of those acceptable cults. Psychomancy, a wheel of dreamy blue, a grandiously smelly moldy cheese. When eaten, guarantees the wildest and most vivid dreams. Some for all of the old spell schools, along with the new ones. So these are obviously great for just adding crazy new equipment to your game, even if you don't like the spells. Apotropeism comes first. So we have things like the Amulet of the Open Hand, which allows you to more easily prevent hostile magic from attacking you. We have a Heka Mirror, which allows you to reflect spells back at the caster. Seal of the Wonder Worker King, which is a bit like the Seals of Solomon. I love this one. We got a Scapegoat, so you can cast a spell on a goat or other large creature, and it diverts magical influence to the scapegoat rather than to you. Arachnomorphism allows you to turn into a spider or gain spider-like abilities. Basically, gain this spell school if you want to be Spider-Man. Silky spinnerets, venomous fangs, casting webs. Physiurgy. Now, what I like about this is this usually, these types of spells are usually reserved for clerics and classes of that sort. And I really like the idea of melding clerics and wizards. Since in my mind, they're basically the same thing. It's just a spellcasting class. I would like, if you're a spellcaster, you should be able to cast any spells, in my opinion. So I like the fact that we have some fleshed out spells for that. We have a great resurrection spell that is much more costly for the caster than you typically see in D&D. Some great ones in here. Black Staff, you cast a sigil on a staff and it makes it like a powerful weapon. Bramble Burrows, it digs a burrow under bramble or other undergrowth, and despite the barrenness, it is a safe and warm refuge. So it's like making a little hobbit hole or a little burrow if you want to hide from something. A Watchful Head, you can cut off the head of an enemy and make it work for you, or at least warn you of approaching enemies. Wolf Witching allows you to summon wolves. And we have rope tricks. We have great stuff like you can animate some ropes and make them attack your enemies. You can have one that just grows very long in the length of a string, so you can extend it or shrink it as you will. or have one over here that just obeys your commands. And so you can use it to, pull levers or do whatever you need it to do. And Cat's Cradle. This is an elaborate spell that I like a lot. So as you start casting the spell, you start out with an opening, opening A, B, Cradle, or Index, which doesn't do anything by itself. But every round you can move from that to a next stage, if you will. So it's like you're doing a string trick when people wind string between their hands and make crazy shapes, but it takes a while for them to build the shape that they want. So from this, you progress down to the different effects that you want until you finally stop. And the deeper down that you go, the longer it's going to take you to get there. So I love how flavorful and detailed that is. The more spells are written like this, the more I feel like they're actual spells, or it brings that flavor to the game, because you have to kind of understand how the spell works and its intricacies and its ins and outs. And when you are thinking about that while casting the spell, you feel more like an actual wizard. I think that's great. And a brief note at the end talking about his influences, or Paulo's influences, and why he wrote this the way that he did. So I think this is a fantastic supplement. It does exactly what it sets out to do. And I think that the schools that it gives you are unique and just a ton of fun. And even if you don't like this particular spell system, most of those spell effects could easily be stolen for whatever game that you're running, just to make things more interesting. I saw a couple typos here and there, but it's not enough to really deter me from really loving this book, and definitely going to be adding it on to my Wonder and Wickedness games. That's it for this one. I will put a link down in the description below if you would like to check it out yourself. You can get it on DriveThruRPG for, I think, $4 or $5, and you can get it in a hard copy from Paulo Greco's store. So I'll put links to both of those things down below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to subscribe and leave a like and a comment. And join me on Patreon if you'd like to support me making videos like this one. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you later.